to my Twitch audience. I'm just going live. So what I should be able to do now is host Robo Race, where I'm going to be in 10 minutes. But
Yeah,
you know,
7 minutes now.
7 minutes. You know me and trying to use computers, so you know.
I see
Raid
you live on Twitch.
Robo Race. The channel has follower or subscriber only chat. Oh. 11 users are ready to raid Robo Race. Okay, wait. So if I click raid now, there you go. You got 17 viewers. Congratulations. And now you're linked to me.
Cool.
So
Can you
now
guys give me like 1 minute? I just need to run to the restroom really quick.
I can,
All right, cool. Be right back.
yeah, let me see.
Okay, you guys are in for a real treat right now. Soph has got none other than the world-famous security hacker George Hotz live with us right now. Get your popcorn out.
GPS based? Like follow track?
Hey guys,
Actually,
this is Soph. We're
Oh.
back here on with our guests. So we've got welcome back, Mike Sokolov, and then welcome to the party, George Hotz. So awesome to have you guys together. I'm just going to start off with a kind of a fun question. So which is more important, the track or the street?
Oh yeah.
George,
Well,
you want
I
to take
mean,
this one?
Waymo treats the track like a street. So on the track, you're actually using the GPS is a good idea.
Nice.
If you're driving on the track, assuming, do you drive yourself or do you drive with other cars on the track too? Like,
What do you mean?
is it
Mike?
time trials or?
Yep.
So maybe I should give a little bit of background. So George doesn't really know much about RoboRace at this time. So maybe Mike, you want to just give him a little bit of an overview, and maybe then you
Okay,
guys can
yeah.
see the crossover between the tech.
Okay, I'll do that. So actually, for the moment, we run so-called season beta. It's not like the first season. The first season is going to be the next season, supposed to be. But now we run like a kind of some kind of trial season. But it's an actual competition. But it's still far from actual racing. That's why the teams actually race against it's time trial, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually give the teams equal cars. They even share the cars. So for instance, SIT uses their own car, but it's the same configuration, and other teams share another dev bot. Actually, the dev bot is stuffed with all sensors you can imagine. It's like 5 lidars, cameras, ultrasonics, 2 radars, front and rear. It's like ultimate set of.
Why do I need any of that? If I'm
Exactly,
doing
yeah.
time trials, why can't I just do the exact same GPS line every time?
Exactly, and that's actually DevBot was made as a kind of testing system, onboarding system for the teams, and of course for this particular kind of challenge, the teams do not need that much set of sensors for localization and stuff like that. And you're absolutely right, they are mostly using GPS for localization because it's pretty much enough for doing that kind of challenge so far at this stage.
I can get 10 centimeters. It's an open air, if I have a good antenna, maybe 2 antennas.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, and that's what they are doing now. But for the further challenges, of course, the competition going to be more and more complicated, especially when we come to the actual wheel-to-wheel racing. Of course, it's going to be you have to use other sensors. Then it's still up to you what sensors to use. We don't push them the teams to use all the sensors. It's up to the every team what sensors they want to rely on mostly. But we give them like a kind of comprehensive kind of set of sensors.
If you're doing time trials, how different are the teams? And are some considerably repeatably better than others? Like they built like their control modeling is better and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question because indeed the teams that just started they're actually pretty much close to each other. and you can see that similarity for the newcomer teams. But more mature teams actually are more brave. They go much higher speeds, and these teams are usually going much faster. But I believe.
Oh, I imagine this is true about humans too. I imagine all the times are pretty close. If you put like expert race car drivers in the same car. Yeah. So I wonder where there's more spread. Well, who's not going full speed? Who's not flooring it on the straightaways? Some teams aren't.
Yeah, because we still have lots of technical issues, so that's why we have crashes. You've seen the crash. As you
How much they have to
said.
pay if they break your car?
This crash was around 100K, kind of
Wow.
fail.
Oh, that's
100K?
Yeah, because the car is.
Wow!
Yeah, the car is super expensive. That's why the teams are.
We stuck a GPS in a Prius.
Exactly. Yeah. I can understand your reaction. Absolutely. Yeah. So of course, for the moment, we are really underperforming. That's clear. But
You gave people cars that are over $100,000 who can't drive in a.
like
You
some of
start
them
with
are
the
millions,
RC
but
car, you know?
it's not about the car. It's mostly about the software. So
That's what I'm saying. Give them an RC car and a Neon.
Okay, you're very welcome to join as a team. So we'll be happy to see you racing against others.
yeah, George, do you
like.
think your device, your Comma AI device, would be able to run on one of these things?
I mean, yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't. If the cars are nicely controllable. So, I mean, we don't really have much like. Our thing's not designed for racing. We have some old code which does it when we did the racetracks. But for racing, it's very different from driving on the road. Driving on the road is a much more dynamic problem. Racing is much more static. You just want to figure out an exact model for the car. You want to optimize all offline, the exact line that you want to drive, and then you want to drive that line as close as possible.
Yeah, but I think they can help each other, because when you're going to have other cars on the track at the same time, then they're going to have to avoid each other. I think that's what this metaverse is, this virtual objects
Exactly,
which
yeah.
are moving into the next season, which is really interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, once you have other cars, you also have to consider drafting. I think that's the biggest thing. You're gonna have to get in behind the cars. You're gonna have to. I mean, I guess that's what humans are doing intuitively. They're modeling the air, right? Every race car driver, you gotta get right behind the other car, and you need a lot less power. So if you have evenly matched cars, the lead car is at a big disadvantage, breaking the air.
So what do you say, George? You're gonna enter the join one of the teams or something, or start your own team?
Oh no, especially when there's other cars, I'm totally gonna crash it. I don't. Whoa. You're gonna have some expensive crashes when you put multiple things of these on.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you think that your system might be able to help? Even if you didn't enter your software, I mean, you think there's crossover there?
I mean, not really. There's not many parts of it I'd really use. I hope that the actuators in those cars are considerably better than what's in the production vehicles, if they were designed with the purpose of being computer controlled. I mean, it's open source. You could look at it, but if I were really trying to win this race, I'd write something entirely from scratch.
Cool. And then what do you think, Mike, on your side? Do you think the other way around, you could help George in any way?
Probably, yes, because, what we've realized, because, we were doing our own experiments with the robocar at much higher speeds. And, for instance, when you go to 100 kph, it's not that much, similar to what you have when you driving at city speeds. It all becomes much more different. You should rely a lot on what tire model you have, what vehicle dynamics model you have, and it's mostly becomes a kind of mathematical kind of exercise then at that high speed. So these cars were designed for that kind of racing. Of course, not for the present state of the race. Of course, it's going to be developing. So please don't judge on what I see now. Of course, for the further rounds, it's going to be like higher and higher speed, and then when we come to like say 200 kph, it's going to be much more interesting story then, and and how software actually deals with all those things happening on that high speeds.
So
it's not just about localization, but
yeah,
No,
with it being
not about,
open source. Sorry, go ahead, George.
It's not about localization at all. Yeah, this is what I imagine. I imagine it's very quickly going to turn into like pretty much how good is your controller in open loop. If you don't have an incredibly good open loop controller, you have not built a good model of the car. Whereas when we're driving on city streets at 30 miles an hour, our controller can be so sloppy, who cares? You're going 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much linear at that kind of speed. Yeah,
it's all linear, exactly. Yeah, our tire
Yeah.
model, we have like one tire stiffness parameter that like it's all just a fudge factor.
Exactly.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
OpenPILE's performance is limited by that.
By the way, that's why we also started developing our own simulators, because simulators like Carla and stuff like that are mostly made for like city driving autonomous vehicle development. They are not really capable for what we are doing. So we were also trying some racing simulators, but they've got other disadvantages. Or actually we ended up with starting developing our own simulator, which actually has capabilities both for racing and autonomous driving, just because no one does that, unfortunately.
I mean, do you have to like go beyond bicycle models?
Yes, why not? Because actually, that's why we also invited lots of universities, because universities may bring some out of the box approaches, for that kind of stuff, instead of more kind of conservative automotive companies.
Yeah, I mean, we barely even care. We were just talking yesterday about how our controller doesn't even model slip. It doesn't matter. Like we control to yaw rate. We have some function that turns yaw rate into steering angle, and it's vaguely speed dependent, but we're not doing a lot to model so cars have obviously a forward velocity, but cars also have a sideways velocity when you're going around a turn. And in OpenPILOT we can kind of say it's zero. But in a race, you can. I mean, that's all about. Otherwise, if you want to assume it's zero, then in a race, why would you slow down for a turn, right?
Right. So George, do you think like this, you could advance your system? I mean, anything that you could benefit from Robo Race? I mean, it's all open source, right? You see the pros and cons of open source versus a closed system. This could be a perfect example of that. And
I mean,
yeah, sorry, we only got a minute left, so just to give you a heads up.
Yeah. Like the way I would think about it is, how much does most human drivers drive on the roads and have never been on a track in their lives? So I mean, the overlap is really incredibly similar with human driving skill, right? You do not need any track experience. You need no understanding. Most humans drive cars and have no understanding that when you hit the brakes, the weight's transferred to the front wheel and you can steer better, right? Like
right.
But
the humans that do drive on the track, one would argue that they do get better skilled. So, yeah.
But it doesn't matter. The driving on the roads problem has almost nothing to do with that. Cool. So yeah, I think there's.
Sorry to interrupt you, George, but I think we just ran out of time. So my apologies. Would love to keep
that
going.
interesting moment, it's such a pity. Because
the
conversation has just started.
Okay, but sorry, gotta go, guys. But thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully, you can find George on his channel as well. Bye, peace.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's awesome to be back here with you guys, and we've got George Hotz and Mike Sokolov back with us, so really excited to continue the conversation. We cut off a little short yesterday, so got a little bit more time. Really excited about this. So yeah, how you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Drinking coffee.
Amazing. You know,
Awesome.
our
So-
chat, our community, it's like I feel like I'm on a super cool, super warm private party, you know? It's so good.
It's the
You know,
best.
when
And so,
yeah.
sorry, Mike, to interrupt you. I just thought I'd ask a quick question for George because I feel bad I cut you off yesterday, George. Just wanted to ask you a comma-related question because I know your company, Comma AI, is doing some cool stuff. So just let us know a little bit about the mission there, and I think some people might be interested to hear about the mission of Comma. And actually, you mentioned that it's the North Korea of self-driving companies a while back. So what does that mean, man? Tell us about that.
Oh, it just means we're not tied up in 10,000 international alliances. You know, we have actual sovereignty in the self-driving car space. Our mission is, and it's a very clear mission statement, to solve self-driving cars while delivering shippable intermediaries. So it's that statement. That statement's written on the board of Comma. And what does that mean? It means solve self-driving cars. Build a car that you can sit in, type in where you want to go, and it takes you there. And then delivering shippable intermediaries means don't say you're going to have it in 5 years. Show progress to the world and make sure people are actually using that stuff. Same as Tesla.
I love it. Yeah, I remember when we talked on our podcast, you were saying you're just a little bit behind Tesla. So has that changed at all in terms of your forecast for when full self-driving is going to be available?
I saw Tesla ship red lights in April that stopped at green lights, and I'm like, oh, we're going to catch Tesla soon. And then I saw them ship full self-driving, and I'm like, I was still 1 to 2 years behind.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, man. You got to try it out. It's really cool. So getting back to RoboRace, though. Yeah, we'll give you a ride sometime if you want. Yeah,
Cool.
with RoboRace, so now that you know a little bit more about it, if you were in the driver's seat and you could give any feedback to Mike, you know, how might you run it differently, for example, like with the hardware or some of the software they're doing?
I would build cars that are way cheaper and let people be much more experimental with them.
Awesome.
You know,
Exactly.
And Mike,
Yeah, that's what
Go
we
ahead.
are now doing actually, because you know, I previously mentioned we are now developing a new car, much cheaper, because you know this one you see today is like crazy expensive. So yeah, we're gonna go lower to, like, I would say 200K or even to 100K expensive, like, kind of car.
Oh
'cause-
wow, that's still a lot more than I thought. I was thinking go
Yeah,
to
but-
5K. And then
but you know,
put them on
if
the
you
track with all
stuff-
the other cars.
Yeah, I understand you. I know your philosophy, but you know, if you stuff it with all those crazy sensors and stuff like that, the sensors themselves make it like super expensive. You know.
Well, this is the same scam that a lot of the whole like autonomous world is falling for. You do not need good sensors. You just need good software. You can literally you stick Comma 2s in the car.
I absolutely
Comma
agree.
2s
You know. Yeah.
Comma 2s are $1,000, and I bet that I can beat all these teams with a Comma 2 and a Prius. I see them going
Maybe in
90
Vegas next
kilometers
year.
per hour. You know.
You know, I definitely want to see you on our teams, because you know you should teach others how to do stuff in a much cheaper way. You know, and us too, of course.
Well, the part of the problem, and what would I would see like I can't buy one of those cars and go drive it around in a parking lot with me sitting in it. So we did a racetrack. We did Thunderhill racetrack, and we got a 2:05 time in our Prius, decent time. And the reason we were able to do this is because we tested a parking lot. We went in a parking lot, we sat in the car, and we just kept making sure it could take tight turns and it could follow the racing lines and all that stuff.
I remember
So
that.
how hard
Actually,
would
I've
it
been
be,
there
George, do you
at
think?
Thunderhill.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mike. How hard do you think would it be to, just put one of these? That maybe some people don't know much about Comma, and it's just like a plug and play system, right? So maybe it might just bolt onto these cars pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, it'll as far as like sensors go, it's all the sensors you need for racing. It has a high precision GPS. We have software already which will do all the Kalman filtering, which will give you an actual like localization track that you can drive on. We have a camera if you need that at all, and yeah, that should be enough.
Awesome.
Sounds cool. Sounds really cool.
Mike, so you're thinking of the future for season one with this new dev bot that's coming out. Do you think you would consider some of these changes that George is recommending, or what's your plan for the future?
Actually, I would like to ask George, what do you think about, like, what top speed you may achieve with the setup you've just mentioned? Like,
So I think we got our Prius up to 95 miles an hour.
okay, can you go like 150 or something like that?
Well, could the Comma thing go 150? Not in a Prius. Could you go
Not
150?
the Prius, but imagine you've got a vehicle like DevBot or another similar electric vehicle, like high performance kind of drivetrain.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is nothing in the sensors limiting how fast you can go. You need almost no sensors to do this. I mean, I imagine that a lot of these cars are like GPS line followers, and like all you need for that is a decent GPS.
That's what actually happens now.
Well, of course, it's what happens now, right? And like the tech kind of hasn't evolved. If you gave me the parameters of RoboRace and asked me to win, I would build the best GPS line following robot I could. I would pre-compute offline the exact trajectory. I'd put it in like an optimizing framework, and I'd say, okay, you're going to follow this line perfectly.
What about handling the metaverse, those virtual objects and stuff? Would it be able to
how
do
dynamic
that?
are they?
You now the teams receive information about a object like 200 meters in advance for this particular mission. So, and we're gonna make it shorter and shorter. So that's actually the idea to get them informed, like more and more dynamically.
So what I would do for that is like, so I already have maybe a lot more of the Comma stuff's applicable than I thought. So we have an optimizer running on the Comma 2. It's model predictive control, and you can put in basically your path, and it will take that path, even if you put it in a really bad path, and it will do things like minimize jerk, minimize braking, minimize steer angle. So you just run all that, I assume you get the GPS coordinates of the metaverse objects.
Absolutely.
Or I could do so I could do a transform to put it into that, and then like, okay, fit the line. Sure, I'm not gonna have a perfectly planned static track trajectory for that, but it'll be good enough.
Okay,
so you think the Prius could run in the metaverse in February at Las Vegas?
Well, so I'm just going off the race I just saw where they weren't exceeding 90 kilometers per hour. I'm confident I could beat that in the Prius. Now, could I beat those cars being controlled well? Of course not.
Okay.
But no, I mean, the reason Comma can't do it is like we're very, we have our mission. Like our mission is solve self-driving cars while delivering shippable intermediaries. This is why we stopped going to Thunder Hill. Like they're very fun, but it is a distraction.
Of course.
Yeah, I think I see some value though in pushing the limit with those cars, with the Prius or whichever car you get it fitted to, because then it's going to be able to respond maybe a little quicker on the street, right?
It doesn't matter.
Now
there is absolutely, the value is not, it's just different value. I mean, there's, like car racing in general has a huge amount of value, and we've learned so much about vehicles from cars. But if you're trying to build a car that operates on the street, you're not operating anywhere near the limits that you'd be operating in a racetrack, and you do not become a better driver. Right, like I do not think that race car drivers are necessarily better street drivers, because most accidents on the street happen because drivers are drunk, distracted, or asleep. Right? It's not like, oh, you didn't understand the vehicle dynamics well enough to swerve around that moose. And then drivers do incredibly stupid things that race car drivers won't do. For example, you should never brake and steer at the same time. But modern cars save you from that anyway.
True. Awesome. So yeah, I think some people definitely want to see it though. I've seen some people in the chat saying, is there a video available of that, the Thunder Hill session?
Of the Prius race? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If you search for it, Comma AI
cool.
Prius Thunder Hill.
Awesome. So it's probably on just check internet on the Google or whatever. Cool.
We have the old one. We have the
for
loop we did in the Acura Flow. I know that video's up there.
Very awesome. Very cool. Awesome. So how do you see like going forward now, George? I mean, you have your mission, you see RoboRace's mission. I mean, how can you guys help each other, do you think?
Well, I stated the Comma mission. What exactly is the RoboRace mission?
Yeah. So maybe I'll put that back to you, Mike.
Okay, actually, as you can see, we're actually kind of, like we actually are trying to organize somehow this particular part of the industry, like research institution and stuff like that, to push them for like faster development, giving them challenges and stuff like that. So I believe we're doing some good thing, because eventually most of the findings that gonna happen here in RoboRace will be applied to the real roads. So we're always thinking about road relevance. When we were thinking about metaverse and we're designing it, we were always considering that it's not just a like entertainment gimmick, but it's also a thing that that should actually push the teams for making meaningful stuff for the industry.
Well, but like, why not? Like, I think the race cars themselves is very cool. Like, I loved battle.
At least, of course, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's like almost that you get this really like I always think like, what advantage do robotic cars have over human cars? And the advantage is we can crash them.
Oh yeah.
Well, right? Don't people say
if there's no human, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you can take risks with robotic cars that you'd never take with human cars. Can we get these cars up to like, absolutely insane speeds?
Uh-huh.
We don't need any weight for any safety equipment.
Yeah,
that's what I see in like the future of like a robotic racing league.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, guys.
Yeah,
The
well,
speeds
I
are
think that's all
crazy.
we
The
have time
crashes are
for.
spectacular.
Yeah, sure. But I
Awesome.
can't recall
Expensive, but
one crazy
Sorry,
suggestion
Mike.
for the
I
RoboRace.
might have to. I think we're run out of time, unfortunately.
Sorry.
But thank you,
Okay,
Mike, and thank you, George.
Another time.
Darn, we need to get you guys on my podcast so we could have like a whole day. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys, and thanks everyone on the Twitch chat for providing your questions. Sorry if we didn't get
Many
your
thanks
question answered, but
to the chat.
It was
Chat
an amazing
is
session.
super cool.
Thank you all. All right.
Thank you,
peace,
George.
guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, George.